How's it going? My name is Scott Moss. I'm a senior software engineer at Netflix with over 15 years of experience writing code. And today, I'm going to be teaching you how to design APIs with Node.js and Express. In this course, we're going to cover everything from getting started with Express and creating and organizing routes, to locking them down with JSON Web Tokens, understanding how to work with databases and ORMs like Drizzle and Postgres. We'll also cover things like error handling and testing, and finally, deploying your API to production. After taking this course, you'll be able to build powerful backends for any full stack application. So let's say I want to do a post request, right? So if I say, let's do a post request to slash, I don't know, you want to create a cake, right? So I do this, and I'm going to say, actually, I'm not going to put anything here. Just so I want you guys to see what's going to happen, because I want to talk about that too. So if I do that, I'm going to start my server, and I'm going to open up Postman, and I'm going to say cake. I'm going to keep it a get. I had it as a post here, but I'm going to run it as a get. Anybody know what's going to happen if I do that? No? Any guess? Or what would you expect to happen? Maybe that's a better question. We've all interacted with servers before. What would you expect to happen if you tried to hit a server? You try to hit a server with a route and a verb combination that it does not listen for. What would you expect to happen? 404. Yeah, I think you would expect a 404. Let's see what happens. Cannot get cake. And if we look right here, you can see we got a 404. Let's solve that. So I can say, yeah, let's get our request. Let's get our response. And I'll say res dot, not cookie. I'll just say, okay, right? So now when I do that and I do that, yeah, cool, okay, thank you. Easy. The thing about HTTP, and that's the transport that we're using, and this is just the other side of it, you probably also understand this from working with clients, is that HTTP is a client-server relationship, right? And in this example, the client is Postman, but the client could be anything. The client could be a browser that you're using, a website. It could be a mobile app. It could be your thermostat. It could be another server. It could be anything that's doing a request to this server. That's the client, okay? The way HTTP is going to work, and I'm not going to dive in on the low level. Why? Because I don't know how. I don't know it that well, but I know it well enough to know that there is going to be a connection that's going to be open between that client and the server, and it's not going to close unless there's a response or an error or a disruption in network, like a physical disruption, your internet shut off or something like that, right? Those are the only times. It is that connection does not live forever, though. It's not a two-way street. The server, and the other constraint is the server cannot start that connection, right? That's like a waiter at a restaurant serving food for someone who didn't order it. It wouldn't make sense. Or who are they giving this food to? Nobody even came in and asked for anything. What are you doing? They wouldn't. They would have to wait for someone to ask for food first. That's why they're called a server. So what we want to do is go to our controllers folder here, make a new controller. We'll say habit controller.ts, and we'll get to work on this. So we'll say import type response from Express. So we get that. And we're going to use our authenticated request from our middleware instead of Express's request. We need to get our database in here because we're going to be doing database things. That's the whole point of a server, or the whole point of an API, I should say. Then we're going to import the habits table. And because of relations, we might have the entries table because you can create entries for a habit. You might also have habit tags if someone wants to create tag or associate a habit with a tag, and we're allowing them to do that through the habit resource. We might also allow them to do that through the tag resource because it's a many-to-many, so it's denormalized. You can do either on either side. You can say, I'm going to create a tag and assign it to these habits, but maybe I'll also want to create a habit and assign it these tags. So either way. And then, yeah, tags for that. And then just some helper methods from Drizzle to help us with our querying. not drizzle kit, drizzle ORM. We're going to get the one that we used before, equals. We'll get an and. We'll get a descending order for sorting. We'll get an in array for checking in an array. Okay, so the first one we want to do is the C part of CRUD, which is create. So we'll export a function here called create habit. And it's going to take a request, but it's going to be an authenticated request. We're going to take a response. It's going to be the response from Express. And we're going to do a try catch like this. And then we're just going to destructure the payload, the body. So we can say rec.body, and we're going to get the name. We're going to get the description. We're going to get the frequency. We're going to get the target count, and any tag IDs. If you have some tag IDs, you can send them up and we'll associate this new habit with these tags. So you can pass those up if you want. And then we'll get the user ID. Well, I'll just use rec.user.id, so I have to make a new variable. And then something new that if you've never worked with databases, you're gonna see something new here is we're gonna make a transaction on the database. So what is a transaction? So what if you have to write to the database more than once for this function, right? And what if the first write operation worked, but then the second operation failed? Now your database is left in a broken state because you needed both of those things to succeed in order to do your job. Like imagine transferring money from a bank account and then like there was 3 database operations. 2 of them succeeded. Like the part where it took your money out of your account succeeded, but the part where it sent it to the other account failed. Now what? Where's that money? It's not in your account and it's not in the other account because it failed. Okay, a transaction is there for that reason. A transaction will basically group a bunch of database write operations into one call to the database. And if one of them fail, it'll roll back all the other ones. So pretty much they all have to pass or none of them pass. It's essentially a git commit. It's the best way I can describe it is you're doing a git commit. But instead of to git, you're doing it to the database. So you're like, here's all the changes I want to do, commit them all at once. That's what a transaction is. Any ACID compliant database has transactions. So we're gonna start a transaction here. The way this works is you just call transaction and you get this object right here. I'm just gonna call it TX for transaction. And it does the exact same thing as the DB up here. It does the exact same thing. You just treat it like DB. That's it. So we'll create a new habit. I'll actually just call it new habit so I don't get confused. Equals, oh wait, instead of using DB, if we use DB here, it will not be on this transaction. We have to use TX. TX.insert on habits with this value. And in this case, in this case, we want to just pass in the user ID will be rec.user.id. The name is name. We already destructured that. The description is description. The frequency is frequency. And the target count is target count. So we already destructured all those things. And then we're going to say returning. Give me all the things. Cool. Once we have that new habit, we're going to be like, did you pass up some tag IDs? So if you passed up some tag IDs, these are IDs of tags that you already created and you have the IDs for. Then, so if you did pass up the tag IDs, and which is just checking to see if you have an array, but does that array have a length? So are there some tag IDs actually in it? And this is something we could also do on the input validation middleware. It's like, let's check if there are tag IDs, it must have at least one in it. And we can like write a Zod thing for that. So we don't have to write this if statement here. That way we can get rid of all the if statements inside of this thing, which is what I'm always shooting for. But for now, let's just do this. So we can say habit tag values is going to be tag IDs.map. So now we got to map over each one of these tag IDs. And we need to essentially create on our many-to-many table, our habit tag, it's a tag ID and a habit ID. So for each tag ID, we got to create one of those and insert it into the database, right? So the habit ID is going to be that new habit that we just created, right? And then we want to associate this habit ID to any tag ID that we're currently on. So these will be an array of objects that we can then insert into the habit tag table like this. Cool. Let's go protect some routes. So what are some routes that we can protect? If we go and look, should we protect the auth routes? What do you all think? No? So we should just let anybody sign up. Imagine if you couldn't sign up unless you were already signed up. That wouldn't make any damn sense. So yeah, we don't want to protect the auth routes. I mean, there might be certain situations where you would want to protect the auth routes. Like this is an admin dashboard that we deployed only for internal, people at the company. There's many other ways to get past that. It's not this. But yeah, you probably don't want to protect public routes or public pages with authentication requirements. So we don't want to do that here. And that introduces a whole nother thing. Because we don't want to do this here, that means we can't do it globally. Because if we do it globally, it would protect this as well. So that means now we have to do it on a more local level. So that's another thing. So if there was ever like, I'll just put this at the top and server.ts, I'll just add a middleware here that locks the whole server down. Well, then no one can sign up ever. So you can't do it globally because there's at least one route here that should not be blocked. So that's another thing to think about. Okay, well, let's look at some other routes. So we have a habit route, we have a user route. I mean, these things do nothing right now, but they will eventually. Yeah, I would say we don't want anybody doing anything with a habit or a user unless they're signed in. Would you all agree with that? Yeah, I would say, you really can't do anything without even if we wanted you to do something with a habit, you couldn't because habits belong to users. So if we can't even identify you, how do we know what habits to associate you with, other than just give you access to every single habit in the database? Well, at that point, you know what? Anybody can use our database. We'll use plain text passwords and they're all admin 123. Like that's what you're saying. So yeah, we want to stop that. So the easiest way to do that is we could put that middleware on each single one like that. Or we could just, up here, we can just be like, oh, you know what? Or where am I making the router? Here we go. Right here where I make the router, I can just say router.use, and then I can just say authenticate token. So that means everything below this, but only on this router, has to run through this middleware first. Does that make sense? All right, let's give it a try. So if I go to Postman, and I'm going to try to just use this one to get all habits. So if I go to Postman and I say, I want to get all habits, so localhost, API, habits, just that. Just give me all the habits. I hit send. I get a bat requests. What is this? Oh yeah, there we go, 401. I want to say, where's the status code? Yeah, so that worked. I got a 401, right? If I get rid of this and I send it again, I'll get back all the habits. It works. If I put it back, I'll get back a 401. You see that, right? Now to test that, we know that right now it's working from blocking, but can we test that it works from actually finding the user? Well, I don't know. I have some users. I have a JWT right here. Let's test it. So I'm gonna grab this JWT. I'm gonna go back to this habit. I'm gonna go to authorization. You can also do this manually in headers, but and Postman, they have one specifically for authorization. I'm gonna click this drop down. Don't pick JWT bearer. That one's different. That is, yeah, that's different. We want bearer token, and then here you can just paste in your JSON web token. So I'm just gonna paste mine in like that. And then now if I send this, assuming this token is good, which maybe it is, maybe it's not. Let's see. Cool, it's good. So it passed. Right? And then just to verify that this is the right user, I got this token from this user right here, user@app, whose username is user. Let's verify that. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to log this user right quick so we can see that that is the actual user that this token belongs to. So let's try that. Send that again. Oops, I didn't mean to log in again. I meant to do that. There we go. And then if I go look at the logs, wherever my logs are, yep, it's that user.